All right. Hello, everybody. And going to be starting here in about 8 minutes. About 8 minutes. So in the meantime, we're watching some weather off to the north here. And wow, that camera is all messed up, isn't it? But we're watching a little bit of weather off to the north here. And we'll keep watching that. And we're going to be watching this storm tonight, which now because what just happened, they just named a storm on the other side of the Atlantic, Tropical Storm Hermine. So because of that now, this storm that's going to pound the hell out of Florida has to be named Hurricane Ian, which has been my screen name for about 30 years now. I've been calling myself, they called me that at the fire station because I just was so rapidly doing everything and so crazily doing stuff. And so I don't even have my headphones on. Are you guys trying to talk to me? Let's see if this thing's even working. All right. There's so many wires, so few time, All right, so let's see if I can hear you guys. Let me make sure everything's working with this audio. This is a good time to do that. I have signed us in the YouTube early because I'm hoping to gather some audience. There's a lot of people out there looking for content on the storm. And so we're going to go live here with some content of the storm as well. Let's see, Scarlett and speaker. Just hold on. I can't hear you guys.
Hello, test. Can you hear me?
Oh, hello.
Hello.
I can hear you on the TV, but I need to hear you in my headphones. Let's try that. How about now?
Okay.
All right. Very well.
Okay.
Bloody well, right, chap. All right. So anyway, I know my British is horrible.
I can't say.
Sound like a wanker. Anyway, I hear that's a bad word sometimes. Okay. So anyway, yeah, it's going to be fun tonight. We're going to go through this hurricane. What we're going to do is we're going to have an in-depth discussion and a little bit of fun with the coming disaster. And I don't want to build hype tonight. That's not my purpose. So we're going to talk about all the possibilities and everything that might happen. And it's going to be a great net tonight. So hang in there. And then we're going to open it up at the end, of course, to get you guys going on anything that you might be working on there. I'm not seeing any lightning. It's kind of a strange thing. We've got these storms forming up here out in Alva and up in Charlotte County. I'm looking down here. There's nothing going on in Collier. Normally Collier gets all the big storms, but not today. Nothing down there. But it looks like we're up here in DeSoto, up around Arcadia. They're getting ready to get a storm, and yeah, LaBelle is probably going to get some storms. But for some reason, it's been very spotty yesterday and today. There's just not a lot of energy up there, a lot of moisture content. So that's what we get stuck with there. So we're going to talk about the hurricane right off the top here in about 3 or 4 minutes. And like I said, I did sign us into YouTube early, so we are on YouTube. I will clip this off tomorrow. But for right now, if you're watching us on YouTube, and let me see if there's any. Yeah, we've already got a couple of viewers on YouTube. So if you're watching us on YouTube, we'll be going live here in just a couple of minutes. So we're live now, but we're going to actually be opening the show here in just a couple of minutes. And we're going to talk in depth about this storm. And I'm going to go through the weather side of it. We're going to go through the ham radio side of it, the radio spectrum, radio frequency side of it. We're going to try to talk everything. And we're also going to talk about what we're going to be doing during the storm. Our broadcasting stuff here that we do during the storm. So we're going to be looking at some of that too. But anyway, long story short, I think it's going to be a good net tonight. So hopefully everybody can stay with us. We've got a good crowd starting to form, like I said, both on YouTube and on Zoom, where we are worldwide on both. All right. So let's just take a few minutes here. I'm going to reset. You guys can talk amongst yourself, and I will be right back.
Control-Alt-Delete.
Is my audio working clearly?
Sounds
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. I'm
Not
KP
super loud,
1.6.
but okay. So, well, I've been preparing for the storm all day, but not for me, for my customers, other people. I've got a little business here doing home watch for all the snowbirds. And of course, the HOA here somehow or other managed to get hold of Ian's newsletter and sent the newsletter to everybody. So all my snowbirds up north going, can you close our shutters? Can you do this? Can you do that? So new English swear word for you guys. I'll wait till Ian's here actually, because he'll enjoy it. But so I got so hot.
I'm here. Don't wait for me. I'm here.
Okay, well, I got so hot today, I was in a state of Betty Swallocks. So there you go. You're not going to have to Google it.
Betty Swallocks.
Betty Swallock.
Oh,
Betty Swallocks.
it's a new one for me.
So I had to have a shower. Yeah, I know. I had to have a shower
That's not so.
tonight before I could come on because I smelt so bad that I guess you guys would smell it over the airways. It was that bad.
Wow.
So I've been sweating from 7:30-ish this morning right through till around 6:45. But you know, I had to put up shutters, I had to, you know, move pool furniture, you name it. I've been doing it ready for but I don't mind doing those because it's not like there's pressure on, you know. I mean, there's going to be pressure Monday, and I'm sure I'll get more calls, but as far as today, it's not too bad. I shuffled a few cars around. So places with empty garages, I put a couple of my cars in. I got a couple more to go in tomorrow, just to be on the safe side, you know.
Yeah, I had to make the way to Wally World and buy me some gas cans for the generator and some bottled water, and went and got some food. I'm not done yet because I figure probably along about Sunday, depending on what's going to happen, I'm going to get this hex beam down. So that's where I am.
Yeah, I'm pretty good on the water and the stuff to make French toast and all that stuff. I've got a couple of two freezers in the garage and my fridge freezer in the house. So we tend to be pretty on top of that, so we don't panic. I did get some gas today. I did run my generator up yesterday.
Yeah, I ran the generator last weekend. I think.
Yeah, and my generator, for some reason or other, well, I've got an idea why. My generator's really nice. It's double, it'll run off propane and gas, but it does not like old gas, even if I put, Stabil in the gas. It won't start. Once it's starting, it will run, but it does not like old gas.
Yeah.
So I don't put the gas in until the last minute, and then what I do is.
I was just saying, I'm sorry. I was just saying, I'm not much on old gas either.
No.
You want gas? So, I got gas. I got plenty.
Yeah. We're all a bunch of old farts. There's plenty of gas. So
plenty of gas. Yeah. But, all right, we'll call it petrol then.
There you
petrol.
Go.
Petrol.
Call it fart in a tank.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I went and got fresh petrol, 10 gallons, just because I figure I try to keep enough available, everything kind of ticking over here for 3 days without electricity. So
I should start tonight by thanking you on behalf of the Americans for giving us our TV back. You guys had it for about a week with that whole Queen thing. Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
I get so tired of this like wall-to-wall coverage, and I'm like, it's another country, dude. Whatever. It's cool. I mean, it was a big deal. I'm not trying to downplay it or anything, but it's just like Fox News. It's like there's a lot of big things going on right now. I mean, anyway.
Somebody mentioned the Queen a while ago, and I was going to say Queen takes Bishop. Check.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. Well,
but it did give us all a chance to yell, God save the Queen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, God save the King now.
Yeah.
Oh, you
I'm
gotta
one of the
remember,
youngest people.
long
Well,
live
when
the
I was
king.
born, I was a subject. We were subjects, but now we're citizens. So
Ah,
that's one of the things she did for us. But I was born on the 29th of January, and King George died on the 4th of February. So she became queen just 5-6 days after I was born. So,
all right.
but yeah, and believe it or not, I didn't watch a thing. I didn't see any of it. So, you know, I got Kathleen, my wife here, she watched it. She got up early on the day of the funeral to watch it. She
Yeah.
finds it fascinating. I'm kind of confused about the fascination that the American public in general have got with the royal family. To me,
So am I. Thank you. So am I, for the
yeah,
record.
I don't give a monkeys, to be honest.
I think most.
I don't either.
I think
For
most of
years.
the media, to tell you the truth.
Of course.
Well, I don't know about that, because I was looking at some stats, and they said that for the Monday of her funeral, the vacation request days in the US were up 1,000%.
Wow.
So people were taking a day's vacation to watch. And I mean, I walked the dog in the morning through the development here, and it was dead. Yeah, I know it's mostly
Yeah.
old people here. There's a lot of single women, but you know, yeah, there was no tennis, no pickleball, no
Yeah, well,
boxing.
for some reason it's you guys' version of the OJ trial. But anyway, let's just keep moving along here. Listen, I do need to get
Whoa.
started. No, and I only mean that by the coverage it got, not by any other means. But anyway,
Oh, right, yeah.
please take that the right way. Please take that the right way. Anyway. But listen, we got to get started. We got lots of people on Zoom. We got lots of people on YouTube. So I want to just go ahead and start here. This is where we'll actually start the video once I edit it. But for those of you watching live, you've been watching a little bit of our behind the scenes before we start here on the TechNet. Anyway, good evening, everybody, and welcome. This is the Southwest Florida TechNet coming to you live tonight from Ground Zero, Southwest Florida, North Fort Myers. Where we actually probably this time Monday will have a major hurricane bearing down on us. Not to build the hype, you guys always know they can go anywhere and they can do anything. But we are going to seriously discuss tonight what I consider to be the first major threat we've had since Irma. This thing is it's nothing right now. It's about to be named me, which I'm not very happy about. I called the weather service and seen if they could change the name. They said no. So you know they you know, come on, dude. It's my name. No,
you work with Katrina, so that's.
I know. Well, and my wife's middle name's Katrina. So yeah, I got all kinds of people here. I don't.
This isn't as bad as Katrina.
Oh my goodness, you're telling me. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through this thing tonight, and we're going to figure out what happened and what's going to happen possibly. I want to first tell you guys that I get most of my storm information from one of my favorite websites. And let's see, I don't know if I pulled up the right.
Weather page is what I'm saying.
Yeah, let me go ahead and double click that, and that'll bring it up full screen there. There we go. Okay, this is Mike's weather page. This is my favorite source. This guy's like me. He's a weather enthusiast and not a meteorologist. By the way, I'm going to call that my disclaimer as well. And we're going to talk about this thing tonight. I didn't even get a chance. Matt Devitt was so busy today. I wanted to pick his brain, but there was no way today. He was in, he was out. Oh my God. It was a crazy day. Yeah, it's crazy down there. The newsroom's going nuts, and it's just a lot of crazy stuff going on. So
enlighten us. Who is Matt?
Matt Devitt is the chief meteorologist at Wink TV, where I work.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, why are you shutting down? No, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. You bastard. You can't do that. Okay.
Something just went to turn.
Yeah, on my laptop. I forgot. I brought it in here and set it all up, but I forgot to plug the power supply into it. So it survived for about an hour and it died. What used to be 8 hours in a laptop after a couple of years is about an hour.
No.
But anyway, okay. So
Batteries on laptops are just glorified UPSs.
yeah,
Like
for the purposes of tonight's discussion, I'm going to just call the storm the storm. There's no sense in trying to assign names and everything to it. We believe it's going to be Hurricane Ian. I'm going to explain why, and we'll go ahead and start there. If I can figure out where I'm at here, let's go ahead and start here. This is the tropics, and obviously, and I got to tell you guys what's interesting right now is we've got our F storm, our G storm, and now today they've made the H storm, which means that, oh, lucky me, I come up next, and I doubt this little guy's going to get going in time. So it's going to be probably Hurricane Ian, which has been my screen name for 30 years. It was on the back of my fire helmet for a while, Hurricane Ian, because I was crazy. I did everything like crazy, hard to the, just what we used to call balls to the wall.
Yeah.
And I used to just, I worked 24 hours a day, 3 jobs, 5 places, you know, and I was one of those guys, and they called me Hurricane Ian because I never stopped. I just kept going around and around and around. Anyway, so now and you know what really upsets me? I used to own the domain name Hurricane Ian for about 10 years, hurricaneian.com. And I gave that up like a while back because I just wasn't, it was nothing. It wasn't using it. So I just kind of gave it up. And now I'm like, man, I really wish, what I really wish is that I could have that domain name back. That would be nice because somebody would pay good money for that right now.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if it's going to be a big storm, which everyone says it's going to be, it might get retired.
Yes. Well, that's kind of, I guess the good news about the bad news is that if I'm a real bad storm, which it looks like I'm going to be, then they'll retire me and they won't pull me back up again.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, since I'm the only Ian I know, the storm's like named after me. I don't know why. But anyway, so there you go. There's the storm set up right now. Now let's go ahead and go through some stuff. There's a lot to unpack when it comes to this storm. And so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go back to here. And this is the latest model run that just came out. If it's going to come up for me here. Oh, shut up.
Why do they always have that crap come up when you want to look at something?
Because they suck. Okay, this is the latest Euros taking it in Marco Island.
Further east.
Yeah, it's moved back slightly. We're seeing the wagging of the tail at this point, where we saw it a couple days ago. It was wagging between Louisiana and Nassau, Bahamas. And then yesterday it went from Alabama to Miami, and it keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And now basically we're seeing it from Tallahassee to just east of Miami, basically, is where we're seeing the spread right now. So it keeps getting more and more narrow. This is, like I said, this is the Euro. We're going to go through a bunch of these. We're going to actually run them here in just a minute. This is an interesting one here. This is the 5-day cone for NHC. This is where the 5-day circle is. That means that within the 5 day, like 5 days from today, within that day, at some point, the eye will be somewhere in that gray there.
Yeah.
That's about as best they can do for us. But here's the thing. This is going to be a pretty big storm. That being said, even if it's an outlier, it's still going to bring us some effects. But anyway, that's what we got there. Let's go ahead and take a look. This is the actual official forecast track. The M that you see there is for major hurricane. They did have that M sitting right over the mouth of the Caloosahatchee last advisory.
Yeah, and they have moved it further west. I noticed that.
This advisory, they have moved it about 50 miles to the west, which puts it in more of a Northport type area, maybe just south of Sarasota somewhere.
Almost to Sarasota.
Yeah, almost. It's just right in that area there. The what do they call it up there? The Suncoast.
Yeah.
It's right in that area there. So now but here's the thing. This gives us worse weather than if it hits Naples. You guys realize that, because this puts it going by us in the water on the worst side of the storm. So this is a really bad scenario for everybody because they're going to feel effects from Key West all the way up the west coast of Florida.
You know, if it
from
went into
that.
Marco, it would be a Wilma scenario where the majority of the bad weather was over on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't take much right now for that hurricane. If you take a look here, let me get my anode thing going here. I like this thing, but I'm not really good with it. Let's see. Let's pick a color that's contrasting here. When you look at this thing right here, if this thing were to come up through Southern Collier like that and go out,
Yeah.
that puts most of Southwest Florida on the clean side of the storm. It also means when the storm makes its closest pass to Southwest Florida, it's already going to be a weakening system that's offshore or that's onshore. It will have already been onshore all the way through Collier County, which we all know how long Collier County is. So by the time it gets up to here, across from Lehigh, basically, this is what kind of Irma did a little bit, except Irma was, why would they make that 2 clicks? Anyway, Irma was a little more like that.
Yeah.
And it came in over like Western Lehigh, Buckingham area in Lee County. This was a decent scenario because we ended up getting winds. All the winds at my house came from this direction because the storm was rotating this way. So all the winds were coming around the storm. So the winds we were getting trashed by Collier County all the way around Henry County, Glades County, and then we would get them. So what we were getting was already getting slowed down quite a bit. That makes a big difference when you start talking about a coastal storm. Now we're talking about a strengthening system because the waters here are very warm. So if it's out here, we're talking about as it comes north, it's going to be strengthening as it comes in. And remember, at any time, it can make that right turn. At any time. We don't know exactly when it's going to make that right turn. This is a Charlie situation. We've got I don't know if you guys know the exact setup here. What we've got is we've got a frontal boundary that's going to come through like this. And this frontal boundary is going to push this thing down. And this frontal boundary is coming in on Tuesday and Wednesday. And as it moves down, it's going to make this thing suddenly take a wild right turn. And we don't know exactly where that's going to happen, where this influence is going to pick this up and make it turn. And that's why you see this uncertainty at the end here that's got this big turn off to the right, because we know it's going to turn. We know it is, but we just don't know exactly when. If the storm, here's the thing, if the storm speeds up, if the forward speed goes faster and faster and faster, it's going to arrive here before the front does, which means it's going to go further north. Conversely, if it slows down, we may see, if it slows down, then we may see the front arrive as it's just right here and it starts to make its curve like that. So that's what we really have to, this front, this cold front, I know it's the wrong color, but this cold front is really what's going to affect where this thing makes its right turn. Anybody have anything on that so far?
Oh, if you're on the east side of it, you stand a much less of chance of a storm surge than you do on the front or the west side, I think.
No, it's actually, well, here's the thing. When we talk about storm surge, let me see if I can get this to zoom in a little bit. Is it not going to zoom in? Oh, I know why. I got to click this first. Let's do this. Let's look at this for a second. Storm surge. Remember that the winds always go around the storm like this.
Counterclockwise. Yeah.
Right. And so as the storm comes in, if it follows this track, the fastest winds are always on the right quarter, which are going to be this quarter right here. That's going to be your strongest winds. Okay. Your storm surge is going to be wherever the direction of the wind comes into the coast. And what we're looking at here is a wind that's going to come in like this, and it's going to pile water up into all these spots like the river and Punta Gorda. that's where we get the storm surge problem. And that's where Cape Coral, because it's low lying, and some in North Fort Myers, like where my mom's house is, the house I grew up in, sit at 12 feet above mean high. And that's why we always have to be really concerned about this. Let me see if I can pull up something real quick while I'm talking about this so I can move it over.
Well, they're slightly better off than the ninth ward of New Orleans.
Yeah, New Orleans, they literally are like at a negative. It's
Huh.
kind of
Right.
crazy when you look at New Orleans. It's
Glad I don't live there.
yeah, I know. You know, you get the Lee County site and it just immediately brings you to everything you don't need. Yep, it just keeps bringing me back to hell. Flood zones designed. Understand flooding. I understand flooding. The water comes up. I understand flooding. Let's see here.
I'll
I'm
tell
sure
you,
that
down here out in Golden Gate, there's significant flooding already. You
yes,
know, one
that
of my
is.
you know,
Go ahead.
ham radio friends out there has got, you know, a significant amount of water in his front yard. He has to drive his kids from the house out to the bus, and the bus is only across the road from his house, but they can't walk. It's, you know, 8-10 inches of water already in his front yard. His house is elevated on the plot, like a lot of them are down there in Golden Gate. But even so, you know, they're already getting a good whack of water. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm actually, when you guys start talking, that actually gives me a chance to look up things that I'm trying to find. So not a bad thing.
It also allows you to breathe.
It does. It does. Well, and I'll tell you what, I'm very honest with you guys about myself, and I talk about everything that happens with me. And I got to tell you, I have actually they've got this map on here, and it's so small that when you pull it up, it gets really crappy. Oh my Lord. Lee County. Yeah, I hissed at him.
Well, I kind of roughly look at it. I say anybody who lives to the left of 75 are roughly in trouble, and anybody who lives to the right of 95 are kind of okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit of a global statement, but it's kind of true.
So
That would be
this
for surge.
historically is
Yeah.
not flooded, but the FEMA map shows flooding down the street.
Yeah. But see, at 95 all the way down through Collier, and a
It's
significant part of Lee is actually elevated, so it's a bit of a dam almost.
It is.
But it is significant, especially off. I mean, I live off of Bonita Beach Road, but basically, you know, opposite Home Depot, the other side of Bonita Beach, on Bonita Beach Road, the north side opposite Home Depot, the left side of 75. You know, I mean, it really floods there. I mean, serious floods. You know, 5, 6, 7 feet, and basically, it seems to do it at least once a year.
Yeah.
So, you know, but as soon as you get to 75, the other side doesn't. So yeah, that's not on your map. Kind of on your map, right down the bottom.
Yeah, this is Lee County. We can pull up Collier too, but just to show you guys, you know, where the floodplains are. A lot of it depends on if you live near canals. Like the house I grew up in is right over here. And it's actually in a red zone because it's near a canal. It's not even on the canal, but it's near it. And because of that, it's in a floodplain. This over here, basically, potential storm surge. If you're, you know, you have to look for, if they say, if you're in a high flood, this is still not the best map. I don't know what the deal is. Okay, here's the category map. Let's try that one. There's so many of these maps and a lot of them are crap. All right. So see the storm surge category at the bottom. I guess you guys can see that. Yeah. Okay. So if it's a Cat 1 storm and it's a storm surge storm, meaning you're on the right side, it's going to bring the winds are going to come in towards your coast, then you would want to evacuate if you're in this storm surge area. I got to tell you guys, I will play with wind all day long, but I run from water. That's the one that kills you. You cannot swim against the current when it's taking your house away. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just saying you literally can't risk it when it comes to the flooding part of it. The wind, you can play with the wind. You can ride it in the tub. That's what I'm doing. But because my house where I live now is 25, 30 feet above sea level, 40 feet. I don't know. So anyway, there you go. What's the highest point in Lee County? People that live in Lehigh, generally speaking, the entirety of Lehigh is pretty much out of the flood area, which I think's kind of neat. If you got relatives in Lehigh, that's where you should be going because it's further away from the ocean, the Gulf, which further away from the higher wind field. It also is in an area where flooding is tidal flooding is not a concern. Now it may flood all around the house and even in the house, but that's not the killer kind of flooding. Normally rain flooding doesn't kill that many in a hurricane. It's tidal flooding. Okay, so anyway, does anybody have any questions on this flood map? All right. I will tell you guys that, you just have to play it by ear and you have to have a plan. If you got a truck outside with all your stuff in it, and you're ready to go and you're going to risk it because it looks good, everything looks fine, that's your choice. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'd probably do the same thing. I've got a little shelter here that holds 3 of us. It's actually my pump house. And if my house starts to fall apart, we'll move to there. Whatever. I'm staying. I want to show you guys something. I want to go ahead and let me switch to this camera here. Been reading online. What's the best way to protect your ham shack from wind? I'm thinking now this is my shack here is a 10 by 14 by 7. It's 8 at the peak, 7 at the ends. It is a shed. It is a Miami-Dade rated hurricane shed. It's designed to take hurricanes. I bought this on purpose. So I looked up what's the best way to protect this shed from being blown apart by excessive wind gusts. It's straps. I bought these. These are made by Husky. You can buy them at Home Depot. This particular one here, I don't know. I haven't taken it out of the box yet.
Do you have the metal straps going through the building and tied to the ground?
I do. I have 6 of them underneath here that go down about 6 feet each. And they've got the big swirly thing on the bottom. And the guy drove them into the ground. And so I've got those. And then these will go down underneath the shack to those, and they will hook around those. So basically, when the shack starts to pull up on it or whatever happens, the pressure will be equally put on all 6 of those. I've got 5 straps, 2 going this way and 3 going that way, 1 in the middle and 2 on the ends. And I'm boarding both the little windows with little boards.
So does your shed come with metal straps built into the structure? And are those tied to those?
Yes.
Okay.
It does have the metal strapping that goes up inside the studs. I saw it because I actually built the inside of this myself. Okay. I put all the stuff in here and I basically finished the inside out myself. So I know what was in the walls and it looks pretty good actually. I feel pretty good about it. But I'm like, you know what, that's great and all. But I know.
Well, you see, the problem with those metal ones is they rust. You're down there by the coast and you get all that salt there and whatnot, and
They aren't.
it rusts, and then it's nothing. That nylon strap that you put across for the storm, after the storm, you take it and put it back inside so it's out of the sun.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it'll last a long time.
Yeah, that nylon, it might stretch where the metal one would just snap.
Yep. Yeah, I think that, and with both, I mean, that one that's inside the wall should be good. This is only a 2-year-old shed. I bought this right after I got my ticket, literally about the same week. It was set up the week after I got my ticket. But anyway, each of these straps has a large hook.
And we're still looking at the storm surge map.
Okay, hold on. I'll pull that out. Thank you.
There you go.
These straps, basically, it's a ratchet strap. This was only $12 at Home Depot. And that goes perfectly around the bar underneath the shed. And so that fits on the bar. And then this ratchet is right underneath the edge of the shed there. And then I take the ribbon and it goes on the other side around the bar on the other side, opposite side. And then it just goes straight up and down over the top. I've got some rubber pieces that I'm going to put to protect it from the sharp edges of the roof on the sides. I put a lot of thought into this. I know that with these sheds, it's not that they get crushed by the weight of the wind. I don't know if you guys actually know it, but wind has a crushing ability, and it also has a ripping and tearing ability. It's like your worst enemy. It scratches and bites. And so the shed will handle, I actually have cross members in here. All of my shelving that I put in, all of my desks, everything is permanently mounted to the structure. I've got a 2x4 that goes all the way across in the back. I've got all that tends to help shore up the structure even more. And all the boarding I put inside tends to shore up the structure even more. So between all of that, I feel like I'm going to be safe in here. I'm riding it out in here. I'm going to be on the 775, and we're going to be trying to broadcast it on YouTube. We're going to see how that goes. Joseph's going to pick it up when my internet goes out. Anyway, there you go. So that's what I'm doing. These are going on my shack. I went 3 days ago, well, no, it was Wednesday. I went 2 days ago to Home Depot and I bought 6 of these. I bought 4 sheets of 4x8 plywood at $39 a sheet.
Oh, bargain.
From
When I bought them, the lady, I pulled up there with all these 5-gallon gas cans that I bought and bleach and 55-gallon can liner bags and 4 sheets of plywood and 8 straps. And she looked right at me and she goes, "Is there something I should know about?" And I said, "Yes, there is." And she goes, "Oh, you're going to leave me in suspense?" I told her, I said, "There's a storm coming." I said, "I'm one of those guys that knows about it early," but I said, "There's a storm coming." And I said, I waited too long with Irma. I had work, I had money, I had problem that, and transferring this. And I ended up not getting the stuff I needed for Irma. And I was not doing that again. So I went and bought all that 2 days ago. That's why I've been putting out these early warnings. You know what? I'll be the one with egg on my face when this thing goes off another direction. Okay. But that's fine. That's fine
better
because
egg than having a real mess.
I'll take the egg, because after what happened with Charlie, I had a friend in Charlie, him and his wife and their dog rode it out in the tub. He had friends over. They were having a hurricane party because it was going up the coast. They had no TVs on. They were playing a radio. They had music playing, and they were cooking on the grill, and they had the dogs running around the yard. Everything was going great. The kids were out in the sprinkler and everything, and it was a hurricane party.
Every time I hear hurricane party, I think of Hurricane Camille.
There you go. And so what ended up happening was a friend called him on his phone and said, "You need to turn on the TV." And he turns on the TV, and next thing you know, about an hour and a half later, his house is coming apart. His family's riding it out in the bathtub, and he's laying on top of his kids and his wife and his dog. And that's what I'm saying. Just, you got to watch it. You just got to be real careful, because this thing could go up the middle. Charlie didn't go up the middle. So just saying. Okay, let's see here. The next thing I want to talk about, and let's go back to Let's go back. Does anybody have anything else on anything special or interesting you're doing to protect your place?
Makes me glad I have shutters. That's
Yeah,
one-
me too.
that's one-
Yeah, well, I have to board up. I don't have shutters. I can't afford shutters. And I don't live in a gated community where
I'm
they're
just
going to
gonna
give me
take
shutters.
the antennas down, namely the hex
Yeah.
beam.
Yeah, that's mine. I have to take down my hex beam. I have to take down, it's on a stand in the yard. That's easy. I'm literally just going to take it off the stand
This
and
is why
and
I had
sit
mine.
it down on the ground, and I'm going to just sit it down on the ground and put a sandbag in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And then
I
I'm
put mine on a tipper. So
there. You go. Yeah, yeah. You could just tip it down unless it looks like this is going to be the end of the world.
yeah, her
You're
again.
Yeah, there you go. Hurricanes.
I don't think it's going to be a Camille or something like that, but still, it's not going to be picnic either.
Well, and the reason that I'm nervous, the hair's been standing up on my neck all week. I even put that in the damn letter thing I put out because there's something here I want to show you guys. This is the ocean heat content as of today. Let me put that up for you so you guys can see it. Look where that thing's getting ready to go into.
Wow. It's on fire.
All this area here needs is potatoes and carrots and an onion and a little bit of garlic, and you'd have stew. I mean, this area is like bath water.
Yeah.
There's areas down there that the surface temperature is 90 degrees.
Yeah.
So I don't know how people live down there. I mean, I don't know how we live here in this crap hole with our horrible weather, but I can't imagine those people down there. Even, I mean, Jamaica's right there. I actually know some guys down there. They're great. Some firefighter guys that I was friends with for years. And
They don't quite get the humidity that we get. They also get a
Yeah.
nice breeze all the time.
that's
So,
true. That's true.
It's a little
You look at where that
Yeah.
thing has been sitting down there close to Trinidad and
yeah.
way down there, yeah, over to the right.
See, it was when it came through here, it wasn't doing anything. Well,
Yeah.
It's a mess.
it's up here now and it's starting to organize.
Yeah.
So it's going to go through a little spot here, but then it's going to get, but here's the other thing. The wind shear has come way down on this thing. And it's getting better organized. You're starting to see a really good ventilation out the top of it. And that's something just so you guys know, all the hurricane websites start hanging up because everybody's loading them up right now. There's like 50,000 people pulling this image up right now at one time.
Yeah.
Just don't-
But anyway, do you guys see all this up here? Most
Yeah,
people, when people look at a storm, they always look at the middle. This tells the story right here.
outflow.
That's the exhaust pipe. You're right. That's outflow. That shows you've got the exhaust coming out the top, and you're starting to see what's this? Starting to see feeder bands coming in the bottom. This thing is a chimney. It's setting up, and once it does, it's going to rock and roll. And when you're seeing this thing isn't even a tropical storm yet. And I'm seeing all this outflow up here, and I'm starting to see a big feeder band starting to set up down here. And I'm thinking this thing's starting to already show the characteristics of a strong tropical storm. And so I think they've got the hurricane hunters. We've got one that went out a couple of hours ago. And you can always find that here. They usually put that in here too. If it's available yet, let's see, may not be available yet. But I know there was a mission this afternoon and there was another mission this evening. So we're going to get some more data. We've got an intermediate update that should have came out at 8, but I don't think it did because
Yeah,
they're not
they're-
issuing intermediate advisories right now.
Yeah, they are. They just did. It's
Did
been,
they?
Yeah, they did. I'm looking at it here, and not much new has happened, believe it or not. So it's still sitting at 35 miles an hour, and the cone is pretty much the same.
Okay, yeah, they did issue an 8. Okay, thank you, Rick. They weren't issuing the intermediates last couple advisories, so that's cool. They're still showing it major hurricane. They're still showing it going in just about Sarasota.
Yeah.
Yeah, so nothing's really changed there. I don't know. It's so weird. Like I told you guys, the weirdest part about this was the wagging of the tail. And you guys know that when we were looking 4 days ago, it was wagging this wide.
Yeah.
It literally was. It was going from here. One model run would show this, and then the next model run would show this.
Yeah, we went through this with Irma.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next day, it was only this wide, and we would see the same thing. They would go wag back and forth. They go left, they go right. They go left, they go right. And so what we're basically seeing now is they've got a forecast out. It's now this wide at this point. So it's going to pass somewhere in there. That's going to be dangerously close any way you look at it for us. And if you put a 200-mile wide wind field on this thing, that puts hurricane force winds out that far. You know, and then it would widen out even more here. So you have to start looking at these radii. I mean, that's going to put hurricane force winds well into the inner counties, even if it goes way up here and hits Tampa. So you can't watch the center line. And you also, another thing I wanted to mention, they made a big deal about this, the Hurricane Center did this year, because I think there's been some misunderstanding. This outline, this circle, this shaded area here has nothing to do with what areas, with how wide the affected area is. You guys understand that, right?
Yeah.
This is the uncertainty zone. This is going to be somewhere, and I don't draw good circles, but somewhere in this circle during that 24-hour period. But it could be this big, or it could be this big. We have no idea. This circle has nothing to do with how big your storm is going to be. It only has to do with what the level of uncertainty is. And right now, the level of uncertainty is that right there. Okay. This will get clearer as we go, because in the morning when you get up, you'll start to see this H will now be up here, and this will now be up here, and you'll even get more of a picture of where everything's going to fall in place here. Anyway,
but pretty much looking at that, we're going to start seeing some wind.
Oh, I have a graphic. I have a graphic for that.
2 p.m. on Monday.
I have a graphic for that, sir.
Oh, okay.
This graphic, which is now provided by the National Hurricane Center, shows you the time of expected the first tropical storm forced winds.
Okay. Monday,
so this has
2 p.m.
nothing to do with the eye. This could be 200 miles from the eye or 50 miles from the eye, depending on the size of the storm. This is, if you're when that line reaches your area, that's when they're going to get their first 35-mile-an-hour winds, stationary winds coming in. So basically,
throw that one in your newsletter. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'll start including this one. Not a problem.
I've got 1,600 people looking at your newsletter. You know.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah. Our HOA distributes it. And we've got 1,600 homes here, so I assume most people are signed up for the email. So.
I hope that would be great. I appreciate that. And just to say, we've got a number of people on YouTube, a lot more than usual tonight. And so to say hi to everybody out there in the YouTube community. We're trying to get likes and subscribes tonight. I know everybody that watches YouTube gets sick of everybody saying that, but it's so important for the algorithms. You guys know how it is. Hit that right when I said that, 2 people hit it. So thank you. I appreciate that. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Even if you don't hit the bell for notifications, at least give us the subscribe. I would appreciate it. If you hit the bell, you'll know when we go live. We're going to do live coverage on this thing. We're going to have live cams. We're going to have live audio scanners, county traffic. We probably will do multiple channels at some point. And I've got Joseph up in Huntsville, Alabama, who's going to pick up the coverage when my internet goes down here, if it goes down. So it'll be cool. We're going to continue to have that all through as long as we can. I have generator power and I have 2 different internet sources. So we're going to hopefully stay up as long as we can. We're going to see how it goes. this footage you're seeing over here, this is Fox Weather. The Fox Weather is I'm liking it so far. They're showing footage. Some scientists have sent out these boats this year. They are drone sailboats that sail out into the middle of the storm and take pictures and send them back.
Hurricane Sane.
That's really cool if you think about it. I like it. I think it's a great idea. I actually was the one that, you know how they got tornado chasing tourism.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, hurricane chasing tourism is getting started. I think it would be a wonderful thing to actually build a battle bus and bring a busload of tourists right into the middle of a hurricane. I think that'd be so cool. Anyway, yes, I'm the crazy one. Yes. The only way.
Looks sane, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I've never been in the eye, and I'm going to get in the eye before I die. It's a bucket list. It literally is a bucket list. I want to be in the eye. When you see the videos of these guys, when the eye comes over and they emerge out of that 119-mile-an-hour eye wall, and then all of a sudden the sun comes out.
Yeah.
And you look around and it's like you're in this like deflector shield and the world's coming apart around you. And it's just really cool.
Hours long.
Yeah. Some are really quick. Charlie was about 6.5 minutes because it was a really small storm and it was moving like hell. But you get some where, like you said, you can be in the eye for an hour. They tell people that people would leave. They get, it's over. Let me go see what's going on with my buddy's house down the street and get caught out in it because the other half comes 30 minutes later. And you're not expecting it. So, but a lot of what people don't realize in storms, 90% of the people never actually see the eye. You may have your house completely destroyed. You never saw the eye. You were actually right next to it. And what you got was prolonged eye wall. Some of the worst damage is right outside the areas that actually get full eye coverage. So leave that for what it is. But
there's one of your drones behind in the.
Yeah, they were just showing it there.
And do you like the number of the boat?
Oh yeah, there you go. I like it. I don't know what these things look like, but they must look like a floating brick. You know what?
No, they look just like that. They're made by the same people. Those drones.
Really?
This is a downgraded, non-military version of the same boat.
But how does something like that survive a 40-foot swell?
Well, because it's got a very large weight at the bottom. If I can, do this right. You can't actually see it, but there's a very large weight.
Yeah, I see the big.
You see inside that orange box?
Oh, yeah. Okay, there's all that. Oh, I see inside. It's the black part goes with it.
Well, the black part, that's the keel.
Right.
And then at the bottom, if I can just do this. Yeah, let me leave that there. Do it up. I can walk over there and show you. So basically, they're made more or less the same as this, but they've got a large kind of sail system at the back, which keeps them going in the general direction that they want to, which is basically just into the wind. They're 95 centimeters long, just under a meter, which is what this one is. They're made by the same people. This is a commercial version that, like I said and whatever, and it's called a Dragon 95. And the drones are very, very similar. They're made of slightly thicker material, but they're disposable. They're basically, they don't want them to come. I don't say they don't want them to come home. They're not really designed to come home. They're disposable. But let me just show you the weight at the bottom. So this is all solid lead at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I've hijacked it again. It's yours.
How much does that weigh? How much does that weigh?
It's quite heavy. I'm not absolutely
Like 10
sure.
pounds?
Oh yeah, more than that. It's like
Yeah.
15, 16 pound at least.
But it sails pretty well?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there you go. Got a picture of as you'll see, it's
Wow.
Looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I need one of those.
Yeah, now the drone, that's
I'll,
basically,
I'll take 2 of them if you got them.
yeah, the drones are, yeah, there you go. They're, no, that's a much bigger one. Yeah,
I'm
that's
trying
so,
to. I want to find a video of it doing its thing, and of course, I find some
yeah,
promo
see, that's
video.
huge compared with the model I've got.
Yeah, well, the one they're literally sending these things into hurricanes, which I just
Yeah.
think is crazy.
Well, the one like that, the little one is it's designed to monitor airspeed and the water. You
I
know, the
wonder how
water
much longer
temperature,
it'll
water
be
speed,
before the hurricane hunters are replaced with drones.
drones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope my front yard doesn't look like that next week.
Me too.
Well, you'll end up with oceanfront property. I mean, it'll go up in value, won't it?
I live across the street from a canal. And, so.
I want to look like Ninth Ward of New Orleans.
You know how they have videos to help you sleep.
Hmm.
This goes in the category of videos that help you puke.
Yeah.
It's a puke aid. It's either this or Epicac. Take your pick.
Well, see, I can watch these things all day long. I just can't be on the ship.
Yeah, I'm like you. I can watch them all day long, but I'd be snorting Dramamine.
Yeah.
Well, see,
Oh my God, I couldn't imagine that, dude. Not at all.
I spent almost 20 years in the Navy, and every time we went out to sea, I'd get seasick.
Yeah.
Thing is as a young kid, I could swing on a swing or go out on a shrimp boat or go out on one of those trawlers that go out almost to the Gulf Stream. You know, they called them Gulf Stream. They didn't go that far out. They just went, 100, 200 miles off the coast of South Carolina. I didn't get seasick. It wasn't until I joined the Navy that I got a little bit older and I hadn't been swinging and going out to sea. And
I know I used to go out in boats as a kid here in Fort Myers. Then I went and moved to Atlanta, and then we came back down here on a diving trip down to in the Keys at Pennicamp, and I got seasick on that. I couldn't believe it, but yeah, that happens.
I think the inner ear settles down if you don't keep swinging it and getting used to it and staying active with it. You lose it, and it just. Yeah. And the thing is, I'd be seasick, for the first 2 or 3 days. And if we pulled into port to refuel and left the next day, my 3 day clock restarted.
Mm.
It's like I touch land or the ship ties up to the pier, my clock restarts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Air Force.
All right. I want to I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the frequencies that that you might listen to during this thing. I want to kind of take a break for a second and talking about just the storm, and let's talk about where the hell did my stuff go? Oh my goodness. Sometimes this Zoom is a pain in the ass. It keep my participant windows and chat windows keep going down. I am trying to watch the chat. Normally Joseph helps me with that. I got the chat up in YouTube. Thank you to all the people out on YouTube that are watching us. The next segment we're going to do here is we're actually going to look at the frequencies. We're going to just go through them really quick, but some frequencies that might help you during a storm. And of course, you can always go back and get these, or if you send me an email, I can always send you a complete list of them. But I wanted to just go back and take a look at some of the frequencies that are out there. We all got radios. We've all got SDRs. Even if you're not a ham radio operator, you probably got a scanner or something. And there's so many cool things to listen to out there. And so I just want to run through these really quick. I don't want to belabor the point. But I do want to mention that there's a lot of stuff out there to listen to. You've got aircraft band you can listen to. And there's a lot of frequencies for that. And like I said, I have all these. You can go to the website and click the live tab and they're right there. But there's a lot of aircraft frequencies that you can listen to. I will tell you that those will get kind of quiet during the storm. We've also got a bunch of other ones here. There's fire dispatch. If you don't have any other radios except a 2-meter radio that picks up all of 2-meter, there's still 2 fire channels you can pick up here that are simulcast. There's actually 3 of them. There's 3 fire channels here, and there is still traffic on those channels. I listen to them here.
Yeah, they're pretty busy.
Yeah, there is still traffic on these 325 and 430. 430 was my primary channel for 17 years at the fire station where I worked. So that was my channel, 154, 430. And then there's mosquito control, division of forestry and leased schools. A lot of this you don't really care about for disasters, and again, I don't have all the Collier stuff in here. This is mostly a lot of it's Lee because it's stuff I've collected for myself here. You got Marine Band during a disaster. Might be cool to listen to that. You will hear simulcasts from the United States Coast Guard. You'll hear broadcasts from the Tampa division and the Southwest Florida group, and you'll hear if there's boats in distress and different things. There's some business frequencies there, utilities. Again, all of these are on the live tab, I'm pretty sure. If not, I'll get them to you. But there is so many frequencies out there on there. But anyway, there's all kinds of different ways to listen. This tells you there's scanner, SDR, web SDR. There's the Chinese VHF, UHF radios. I love how I put that. Oh, them Chinese radios. And anyway, let's see. I think that was about what I had. But I wanted to go through that because there is a lot of things out there to listen to. So while you're sitting there and you're bored during the storm, what you could be doing is checking out all the frequency. There's a lot of things. Speaking of, I want to do a real quick show and tell. I got a new thing this week. I was in the secondhand store. I went in there and I bought this monitor over here for $20 last weekend. I looked it up. It's a $250 monitor. It goes right to the edge all the way around. Beautiful monitor. Got it for $20. I got the monitor that replaced that one up there, which is actually bigger than that one. Got it for $5. I got several other things. I got a couple of light fixtures and some things that I needed. But I found this. It is here's the manual for it. Let's see.
Shortwave.
It's ETON. It's an Eaton, ETON.
Mm-hmm.
I remember those.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's doing here. I was going to show it to you, but now it's like blinking all weird and shit. Watch, it's probably broke now.
It is shortwave, right?
There it goes. Yeah. Yeah, it does shortwave.
Long wave.
It does. I don't know what's wrong. There's something wrong with it. I'm having issues with the screen in it, to be honest with you. Every now and then the screen kind of it's got like this stuff. What happened to this? Somebody gave this to somebody as a gift. I know that's what happened. And it stayed in the box. I have the box. I actually threw it out. It's a mess. It's sticky. The whole outside is sticky because it was inside a box and the plastic got sticky. So because of that, I picked this up. It picks up from 160 all the way through 160, 80, all the way up, and it goes all the way up, and it does AM and FM broadcast. It does a lot of it does not go up into 2-meter and 440 though. It doesn't go that high.
Does it do sideband?
It does sideband, FM, AM. It does all those upper sideband, lower sideband, and it
That's
even has
cool.
one mode. I don't even know what the hell it is. It's got the antenna adapter on the side so that I can hook up my external antenna if I want. It's got the big antenna on top. I got this at a secondhand store for $8. It works perfectly. I've turned it on. I hook it up to my big antenna and put it on the FT8 frequency, and it's I'm like, oh, there they are. They're playing my song. So it works, and I got the instruction manual with it, and it came with everything that it comes with. This thing is really advanced. I don't know if I'll ever do anything with it. It has battery slots, expansion slots where you can put chips. You can put boards to pick up additional frequencies. It's got spots in the back for rechargeable and non-rechargeable batteries. This is a really cool thing. And I got it for $8 at Habitat for Humanity in Charlotte County.
Wow, do you want to double your money and make 100% profit?
No. No, I rarely sell anything. I'm one of those people. I'm a collector. I collect garbage, a lot of it, but not garbage, but my kind of garbage anyway. But I got that thing, and now that's a great thing to have. That's something you can just put on a table out there and pull your antenna up and see what you can pick up one day when you're out at a campground or something. But so I'm going to be playing with that. I haven't really played with it too much yet, but I do know it receives great because I can put it on FT8 on the I put it on 20 meter FT8 and it's so I'm like, yep, there it is. All right. So anyway, that's all there is for that. I'd like to go now and talk about the procedures during a storm. There's basically two modes that we're going to deal with today. We're going to deal with bugging out and staying home. You guys have to decide yourself whether you got to bug out or stay home. What I would do tomorrow is I would start preparing a bug out bag. I would take a couple of duffel bags and just start putting things in there that are important to you. Start putting things in there you need. It's a good practice. But I'm going to give you guys a couple of other hints. This is where people mess up. They don't think about things until later. Start the go bag 3 days before you're actually going to leave, or 2 days before you're actually going to leave. And that way you make sure that go bag has everything that you need in it. I suggest a lot of things. Here's another one. And you'll never see this in a pamphlet. Lee County or Collier County will never tell you this on a brochure. But I'm going to tell you something that I learned after Hurricane Andrew. Andrew took the roof off of a lot of houses. It destroyed the roof off houses. It pulled the panels off the roof of houses. It took the shingles off. It took sometimes it would take the entire thing, the rafters and everything. The roof was gone. In some cases, it would knock down the brick house. I've never seen damage like Andrew. Andrew was like EF3, EF4 tornado damage. Okay. It was incredible. The one thing I learned after that, every house we went in to help the people, because I went down there and spent weeks down there after Andrew in Florida City, which was devastated, nothing left. They had not a single police car, fire truck, or ambulance there when we arrived the next morning. It was all destroyed. Their fire stations were destroyed. It was all gone. When we got down there and we started setting things up and we started realizing just how bad a shape it was down there and how bad the damage was, and people's homes were completely destroyed. But you know what we found? The dressers were all still in the bedrooms. The furniture was all still there. Most of it anyway. And the TV was still there. And all the stuff was still there. Everything was still there. But the roof's gone. So everything's destroyed.
That's pressure.
It is. Here's the lesson that I learned from that. And here's what I did during Irma. And it didn't save me because my roof survived Irma. But what I did for Irma was we would open a drawer and I would open a bag, and my wife would just take the things out of the drawer that are folded and sit them down in the bag. And then we would tie the bag tight, and then we would sit it back down in the same drawer again, just like the clothes were in there already. And then we would push the plastic down and close the drawer. And we did that for every drawer in my house, all of our clothes, all of our keepsakes, all of our things. My TVs all had plastic bags over them, and they were taped at the bottom so they couldn't fly off. All of everything that can't get wet, I went and bought enough 55-gallon, 35-gallon, and 25-gallon garbage bags to go over every single one of these monitors, to go over all my computers, to go over everything. And if I think it's going to be that bad, I will cover everything, because the roof may come off, but that doesn't mean that everything's destroyed unless the water gets to it. I know that sounds crazy. People just assume, well, the roof went, so everything was destroyed. No, everything was destroyed because it got wet, not because the roof flew off. but because it got wet, every bit of the clothing, every stitch of those people's clothing was still sitting there. It was just ruined because all this nasty, shitty water had fallen on it and everything. So that's my little piece that I'm giving out tonight. And I was going to do it on the air earlier and I never got to it because you know how radio is. But then the one thing I learned over there was it was not, like I said, not physical damage that destroyed people's stuff. It was it getting wet. And so protect everything. If you're going to leave your house, tarp your couches. If you've got tarps, tarp your couches. If you've got plastic things, if you've got saran wrap, you can saran wrap your keepsakes and then put them back in place. You can do a lot of things to keep the water from destroying those things if the roof were to start leaking or become severely damaged.
Ziploc bags are another thing.
Yes. Ziploc bags. Just buy a whole thing of those freezer bags and put all your pictures and all your stuff down in those Ziploc bags. And even if you leave them behind, put them in the bottom drawer of the biggest dresser, double bagged, wrapped up and down in there. They will survive that storm. Unless the rising water. Now, these bags may leak if rising water comes in. I'm talking about if the roof fails. If you live in a place where rising water is coming up, you got to load that stuff up and take it with you. Or you got to stick it in the attic and hope it doesn't get that high. Those are your options when it comes to rising water. Now, let's talk about bugging out and staying. People are always like, well, I'm going to wait till the last minute because I don't like to evacuate, and I don't do shelters because I don't like people or government. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to wait till like maybe 12 hours before the storm. And then I'm going to get on the interstate and get out of town. Says the fool that gets stuck on the highway during the hurricane.
Last minute.
I'm sorry, guys. If you're bugging out, you have to do it at least 48 hours in advance. You have to go. If it's time to go, you got to go. You got to get in and go. And this is the hardest decision people will make. And I'll tell you what you have to consult to make this decision is going to be your flood maps. That's the number one thing. Where are you at? Because rising water kills. Most homes will survive the wind, or at least there's a place you can take refuge. Most bathrooms and tubs survive the wind. You can survive the wind. But if the water rises and you end up in your attic, you're probably not going to survive.
That's what happened in New Orleans during Katrina.
Yes, it is. Those people thought they survived the storm, and next thing you know, the water's killing them.
Mhm.
And then the second part of the storm comes in and they had nowhere to go. They had to leave their home because the home was underwater. And now they're out floating on debris away from the home. And the second half of the storm comes in. You can only imagine what that was like. So the time to leave is early. So what you guys have to do is you have to make a plan. Okay, if it looks like it's going to be a major hurricane, I'm going to bug out. So what do I need to take? Well, first of all, you want to take things you can't replace. And I know I'm very sentimental. I will give up things like a little bit of food or a little bit of this and that if I can get a big, huge tub of all my family pictures in there. I'm going to take what I want to save. That's what's important. But you also need to plan for you and your pets and your family to eat for 5 days, just in case. The good news is when you bug out, you're generally still able to find open and operating restaurants. That's the good thing. So you don't need to bug out with bags and bags of canned ravioli and corned beef hash. You can literally just, take a bag of food so you have some. So if you're on the side of the road stuck somewhere out of gas, you can open a can of beanie weenies and eat them. A little hint, if you put the can, if your engine's running and you put the can on the manifolds, it's about 6 minutes. If you put it longer than that, the can will explode. Anyway, you know what? I used to take a Big Mac. I'd buy 2 Big Macs in the morning when I was working these long 12-hour shifts. I'd buy 2 Big Macs and I would go out there and work. And about an hour before I was ready for the second Big Mac, I'd go stick it on top of my motor. And a little while later, I'd go back over to my car. It's sitting there idling, and that hamburger was perfect. But anyway, there's when you bug out, you want to concentrate more on the things you're going to take with you. If you have gas cans and you can safely transport them, I would take as much gas as you can safely transport. Because you may have enough gas to get from here to the Georgia line. If you're traveling at highway speeds, you're not going to be traveling at highway speeds. If you left tonight, you could travel at highway speeds. By tomorrow night, you're already going to see a pretty good flux of traffic trying to get out of town. And by Sunday, it's going to be lined up and they're going to be trying to decide whether they want to do some kind of BS contraflow thing or something.
Well, they didn't do that for Irma. That pissed me off too. I mean,
Going to tell you something. There's a lot of pros and a lot of cons on contraflow.
I remember Hurricane Floyd up I-16 in Georgia.
Yep.
Oh, that was interesting.
Yep. Contraflow works in an area like Florida. It should work pretty good. What contraflow is, for those who don't know, is in an emergency, the government has a contingency plan that allows them to turn the traffic the other way on one side of the interstate. So in other words, what they would do is they would take northbound 75 would work normally. Southbound 75 would be turned into northbound express. And it would only get off every fourth or fifth exit would be available. You would not be able to get off very often. You'd have to stay on that thing. You get one exit per big town and that's it. And it's designed to get you out of Dodge. Okay. And so if you're going and you've got enough gas and supplies and everything to get on the road and your bladder can handle it, and you want to go all the way to Tampa nonstop, you would probably want to get on that contraflow side. If you are just going up to your buddy's house in Punta Gorda, you don't want to get on that contraflow side because you might not be able to get back off. But that's all contraflow is. But here's the bad part about contraflow. No one, ambulances, nobody can go the other way. Once you contraflow everything northbound, what if you're north and you're trying to get south to get a loved one that's stranded somewhere? It really makes it difficult for a minority of people. I get that. But so I think that's why we've seen such controversy going back and forth on contraflow, is because there's good and bad to contraflow. Anyway, that's what that is. When you hear that saying, if they say we're considering contraflow, they're just considering moving both sides of the interstate would move north. That's basically it. Yeah.
Making
And
the interstate one way, basically.
yeah. And here's another thing. If we have a storm like Wilma that comes straight across, we're going to have an area that is devastated. And then that's it. It's going to go across and there's going to be an area on the other side that's got some pretty good damage. That's pretty bad. That's a bad case scenario. This one, you've got a storm coming around the bottom. When you get a storm coming around the bottom, what that basically means is that now everyone is in the track and everyone has to eventually leave over the same roads. And so to kind of illustrate that, I'm going to pull up my screen here and illustrate that. I used to, believe it or not, years ago, one of the things I used to do was work on these plans that we need to make to get people out of an area when there's one of these major storms. And one of the things we used to always run into was if let's say this storm's coming straight. Oh, what happened? Where did it do it? And out. What's the deal? Why is it? What's it doing?
I see the cone. You may not be.
I know. I don't know what's going on. Let me try. Let me just go to this regular one here. Okay, let me try that. There we go. Okay, let's see if it'll let me do. I went to annote, but it won't let me do it. So I don't know what's going on there.
it's
I blame
Windows.
There we go. Yeah, well, I blame Windows and the government. Okay, so there we go. So basically, I'll blame YouTube too. So anyway, what ends up happening if you got a storm that comes straight across like this? What you end up with is an evacuation zone that looks kind of like this, and of course it gets smaller as you go across the state. That's your evacuation zone. All of these people have to evacuate using 41, 75, 17, 27, US 1, 95. That's pretty much your options to get out of the state. Okay. Some of those are better than others.
Yeah.
So when all these people have to evacuate, they all hit the road and they all start going north. They can't go south. They tell you don't go south because you'll get stuck down there. What if the storm goes south? Okay, so that's a bad scenario there. We've got all these people in the middle, all trying to head north at the same time. Okay, that seems really bad. But now we've got a scenario where we've got a storm that's going to be coming up like this, and it's going to go up and it could kill or maim anybody in this area like this. In this particular case, it's going to go more like this. So what ends up happening is all these people down here along the coast still need to evacuate. And they can't evacuate over to the other coast because we don't know where this storm's going to come across. So they have to evacuate out of the state. People in Lee and Collier and Charlotte, we have to go out of the state. We can't go south. We can't go east. We got to go north. Everybody's got to go. Sarasota, Northport, Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, all these people evacuating at the same time. And because we don't know where it's going to exit, you've got a smaller evacuation going on all the way up the East Coast because we have no idea where this is going to eventually come across. So because of that, you've got a much larger than normal evacuation zone. Now you add on top of that the fact that it's going to be possibly a major hurricane. Now you've just increased your evacuation by 50, 60% more people that have to leave. Now what you've got is all of these people in this entire corridor are trying to get out using 41 and 75 pretty much. And then you've got a secondary or actually, I'm sorry, a primary evacuation going on of the Keys because they get evacuated. Somebody drops their pants, they get evacuated.
Yeah.
And they're all, where are they going? They're all going up 75. And now you've got a minor evacuation going on all the way up past the Space Coast here. So all of these people, and as we think a major hurricane's going to cross, you're going to start having a certain percentage of people around Lake Okeechobee that are going to they're going to have to evacuate. What you end up with is so many people heading north that you have in CB talk, it's a northbound parking lot. You're going to have literally just stopped. They're going to be stopped up there. And they're going to be bringing gas to people so they can get cars off the road. If you're an electric car, just leave it. So that's the danger of one of these southern storms is the fact that it's going to give us so many more people that have to evacuate than if it was an east-west storm. And we have a choke point right here where basically we only have 5 highways. It's a little scary.
75.
Yeah. There's also basically another choke point here. I mean, you could actually take a look at this. There's spots where you don't have that many options, to get out of the state. If I was evacuating, I would take 27.
Yeah.
27, you come out here to come out here. You can take say 31 up. And 27 comes across like this and goes up towards Tampa. And you can take that all the way up and it merges back with 75 up here just before Live Oak.
Or 301.
301, right?
Yeah. Well, it turns into 98 and then 301. Yes, it's different roads, but it's the route I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, if I was going to leave, I would never go near an interstate because interstates are going to be where everybody's at. So what you want to do is you definitely want to head into the center of the state.
Well, you really want to leave Saturday if you're going to go.
Yeah, if you're a bug out person, tomorrow's the day, folks. I hate to say it. You're not going to like this. Tomorrow's the day. But let's take a look at this here. You guys can see that. Okay. Yeah, that looks all right. Yeah, if you're going to leave out, and this is the kind of coverage you won't see on TV right here. But if you're going to go out, I suggest taking something to get you up here on one of these roads. You're going to want to be on 441, 27, or 17 because you don't want to be on 75. One thing about 75 that most people don't notice, you're right here, let's say, okay, or maybe further south, and you're wanting to get to right here, see 75? That's directly north, isn't it? Look at that. Almost directly north.
How much way you got?
Now, if you're taking 75, you got to go all the way over to Venice and
Yeah.
all the way over to Ruskin and Bradenton, and then all the way back over here and all the way back over here.
Routine.
It's about 33 miles out of the way.
But you
If
are
you-
traveling in theory a lot faster.
Not during an, yes,
No,
you
yeah, but
normally,
normally,
you're,
yeah,
Like
yeah.
this.
yeah, you're completely correct. Normally,
Normally.
both routes take the exact same amount of time, give or take 5 minutes. But in an evacuation, this could save you not getting on that interstate. I'm just telling you guys, I wouldn't get on the interstate. That's just me.
Yeah.
But there's other ways to get out of town besides just that damn interstate, which normally I'm an interstate guy, but I'm not when this happens. I like a route that I like to take just to get away from people right away is you can go all the way out here to LaBelle,
The
Yeah.
bell out to Palmdale.
and you can take 29 and go up to Palmdale.
Yeah.
Palmdale's a town that disappeared right after the interstates went in. And then you can take this right up through Lake Placid, Sebring, Avon Park, and go right up through, and you end up in Fort Meade, go right up, or not Fort Meade, what's that called up there? Haines City.
Haines City.
And then you end up going right up to I-4. From that point, you can decide where you need to go from that point, whether you're going to need to go.
I think I'd stay off I-4 too. There's plenty of other routes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would stay off I-4 at all costs on a normal sunny day. But that's the worst road in Florida right there. But once you get north of Lakeland here, you can find a route that will keep you on the back roads. And that's what I would do. I would take one of these routes, and you can just stay right here on the back roads and take it. Maybe this would be the way to go.
Yeah.
Get further away from the storm. You want to get away from the storm. Right. And you can get up here and maybe see what 95 looks like. And get up there and get you a hotel room in Georgia or something.
A few weeks ago, I came back from Jacksonville and I had all day. And I came back from Jacksonville and I was on the right-hand side of Jacksonville, very close to Jacksonville Beach at the Mayo Clinic. And I came down through, I was, just where 295 goes north.
Right.
There. That's where the Mayo Clinic is. And I came back via Palaca and then down to, North Orlando. And then, you can see 2019 and whatever. And I just kept on going and then came down, like you say, through, I just kept on going down through there. Yeah, and through on Orlando, I went the other side of the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was half an hour longer in time, but way more pleasant to drive. That was only half an hour difference than me going 17, 4, and 95. That took me 5.5 hours when I did that 2 days before. On a Monday, I came back on the Wednesday, and it took me just 6 hours and 5 minutes or so. So it was only 35 minutes longer. And
that's a lot of farmland in the center of the state.
Yeah. I came down through, you say, like Avon Park, Sebring. And then I went, straight up through Davenport there, which I never ever found.
I love Sebring.
Yeah, Sebring was nice.
Avon Park, Sebring, Lake Placid, all three of those towns are wonderful.
Yeah, Lake Placid was great. I mean, you were right along the side of the lake. And that was when I was listening to Sarnet, somewhere around north of Avon Park, Lake Wales, somewhere up there. I picked up a warning from Fort Myers. So this will be the 23rd, 24th, 25th. The 25th of August, I listened to Starnet all the way from Lake Wales to home, where somebody in Fort Myers saw rotating clouds and they started reporting it. And then it went to the Tampa whatever. It was kind of cool. But that was all on 440.
Yeah.
Different repeaters, obviously,
Yeah.
but not many.
Yeah, SARnet, I suggest you guys, obviously, we're going to talk about this in a few minutes. I suggest you monitor SARnet and the 2-meter call and the WatchNet. Those are the three things that I would suggest trying to keep an ear out. Let me just show you this real quick. This is the trip to Disney World. This is 186 miles going this way. This is the way most people would go to Disney World, I-75 to I-4. Look where you're driving.
All the way the hell out of the.
So, excuse me. I think I just burped in the microphone. So
Yes, you
anyway,
did.
sorry about that, folks. I apologize.
You
Anyway,
could have gotten off on Sydney.
You may
So-
have to clean the mic off.
yeah. Oh, you guys laugh. I still have a weekend show to get done tonight before I go to bed that plays at 7 a.m. and another one I have to do tomorrow before 11 a.m. I still have stuff that still has to play this weekend that it's not even made yet. Okay, so anyway, here's your trip, 183 miles, 180 miles. Now, instead, let's go this way, which is the way I go.
Yeah.
142 miles. That's 42-mile difference. 2 hours and 39 minutes. 2 hours and 2 hours and 46 minutes. So even the computer says it's 6 or 8 minutes longer going the interstate.
Mhm.
And you get to see some of the most beautiful parts of Florida going this way. What I do is I go this way going up.
Yeah. So
I go up
back.
27, right? I go up 27. Look where it is. Look where Disney is. Disney's southwest of Orlando.
Yeah.
I'll go up this way, which is a little bit longer, but I like to go up this way. I like LaBelle. I like to go up through Palmdale. My dad and I used to fish in Fish Eaton Creek up there. It kind of brings back some memories. I love Sebring, Avon Park, Lake Placid, Lake Wales, Haines City. I love all of that. I go up through there. Then when we come back from Disney World, we come back this way and we get to see another beautiful drive down through Florida. I will tell you, there's several little speed traps. You just have to watch your speed in and out of the cities. But this is a great one here. And Zolfo Springs and Bowling Green and Wauchula and Brownsville, these are neat little Florida towns. You will probably, if you've only hung out near the coast, you might be pleasantly surprised that we've got some really rural areas here with some little towns that roll up at 9 o'clock at night. But anyway, there you go, guys. That's how everybody goes to Disney World. That's how I go to Disney World. And then maybe you go this way going up or whatever. But anyway, so there you go. All right. Anything on that? If you were evacuating, guys, just take your byways, not necessarily your interstate highways. All right, there. Let's just leave it there. All right. Anything else on that? All right. Let's talk for a few minutes about Aries versus WatchNet versus SARnet. There's a lot of misunderstanding out there between all the different radio services and who do you call who on and this and that. Well, I'm gonna explain all three. The SARnet is a wonderful thing. The SARnet is a group of connected repeaters all over the state of Florida. And all you have to do is just Google the word SARnet and it will come right up. And then from there, you can hit the, I always have, when it comes up to this other screen, I always have a hard time finding all the damn map, where the maps are. System maps, there they are. Okay, basically, this is the coverage map for it. I'll pull it up here so you can see it. I love the SARnet. I listen to it. I got an old Chinese radio I got over here that's dedicated to nothing but SARnet. It's all it does, and it's on every day, all day. I love me some SARnet. There's a guy on there, Pat, that keeps an ear out on it all the time, and he does a great job. If people call in, every now and then you'll hear a wreck get called in or a brush fire or something, but normally it's weather stuff. And it's mostly just, you can get on here and call your buddy and talk for a few minutes. It's fine. They don't want a gab fest going on.
Yeah. Because all the repeaters are hanging up.
All the green circles exist and are working.
Yeah.
All the black circles they're working on. That's a hell of a system.
Does it show one in Estero yet? That's the black one.
Estero's not online yet. No, that's the black one right there. That's Estero. It's not online yet. Now, let me tell you guys, there's one thing that makes this system unique over almost all the other amateur radio systems out there. There's two or three things that make this unique. Number one, its size. This is probably the largest connected repeater, analog repeater network in amateur radio. If not, it's one of the biggest. We're talking 40 something repeater sites all connected together all the time, 24/7. The second thing that makes this so unique and so amazing is the fact that all these repeaters are connected by amateur radio infrastructure. Basically, it's not an internet. It's not All-Star Node or Echolink or some kind of IP or VoIP or something. These are all connected by Yeagis, and it uses a separate frequency to connect. So when you key up, your radio signal is hopping via radio to radio to radio to radio to its final transmitter out to the radio that you're listening on. It's pretty cool. It's really, really cool. And it stays up pretty good during storms. If one hits directly, if a city gets a direct hit, they may lose that one repeater. But then if you got a good antenna, you can probably get to the next one. We have a repeater in Charlotte County. We have one in we've got one in North Lee County. Do you know where, do you guys know the Home Depot in North Fort Myers? If anybody knows where that is, the antenna sits right behind the Home Depot in North Fort Myers. It's behind the DOT building. And it's a freestander back there. And I don't know how many feet we're at, but it gets really good coverage on UHF. But anyway, go ahead.
I need to give you a correction.
What's that?
They're connected by the state microwave, which was used by DOT for many years, and then they no longer needed it. And
Okay.
so that's where they came up with the SARNet. And if you notice all the little red stars and look at the legend, it says microwave site.
Right. It's connected, not using internet infrastructure. I may have used the wrong word here or there, but my sentiment is it does not use connected internet infrastructure. It does not use the internet in any way. It's connected via radio equipment from site to site, whatever frequency, microwave or whatever. So yeah, thank you for that. And yeah, it's a great system, and it works really, really well. They've got a bunch of guys that maintain it. And if you hear, what is it? K4NRD
That's Pat.
That's Pat K4NRD, real nice guy. I've spoke to him 3 or 4 times on there myself. And he's not like the captain of the channel. He's almost like the nanny of the channel. He takes care of it. He nurtures it along. And I really respect what he does. And if you need someone and no one else answers, he will answer usually. I don't know how he gets that radio in the bedroom, but his wife must let him do it. But he seems to be on like all the time. So that's kind of cool. You will hear every now and then Skywarn reports. They will pass along Skywarn spots. They will pass along things to state EOC if you need to, if it's of some great import. But the truth is it's basically just a great backup, and it's great to know it's there. But the other thing that's great, I broadcast this over YouTube, because there's such great traffic on it. Everybody's talking. I got flooding here. I got this here. People talking while the storm's going on. This is a great system. Anyway, so that's the SARNet. The next thing we're going to talk about is the WatchNet. Now, the WatchNet is what we do here at the TechNet. The WatchNet, the purpose for a WatchNet is basically to keep an eye on each other. One of the things Aries doesn't do is they don't go up like before, during, and after the storm for the purpose of keeping tabs on people and making sure you're all right, and passing along messages from family member to family member and things like that. They don't really get involved in too much of that. And so what we're trying to do is fill the gap on that. We're going to be doing a number of things on the WatchNet. And of course, you guys know the frequency. It's 444-775. We will eventually hook up more repeaters and more ways to connect. But for right now, that's what we have. We are going to try over the next few days to get our Echolink All-Star Node up. Rick has it. We're going to try over the weekend to get it fixed, get it going. If we do, then we're going to have that up. We'll let you guys know about that. We are going to be broadcasting on YouTube, both visually and audio, scanners, feeds, cams, all kinds of neat stuff. And all that's going to be going on. So it's going to be a crazy time here to keep all that going. But the WatchNet's main purpose is to pass information on to people that can't get it, and to also keep tabs on each other, make sure we're all right, check in with each other. I'm going to be up during the storm. No matter how bad it gets, I'm going to be there. We're going to be talking to people on the radio. We're going to be getting status reports from people on the radio. And that way other people that are even just listening and can't participate can hear what's going on. And if we're still online, we're going to be broadcasting those feeds, both from SARnet and from the WatchNet, over the internet. So people that are out of the area that evacuated can listen back and hear what's going on here. That's so important. Even after our internet goes down here, I'm going to try to feed scanner traffic to Joseph through an alternate source to try to get him to be able to still send our feeds out. It's going to be really cool. We're going to try this. It's kind of the big experiment here. I can't wait to see how it goes. But that's the WatchNet. So you guys can participate on the SARnet, on the WatchNet, and on AriesNet. It's all, you can do all three. Okay. You don't have to be a member of the club on any of the three. You don't have to be an Aries member to check in on an AriesNet and give information to Aries. You don't have to be a WatchNet member to come on to WatchNet and spend the time with us on here while the storm is going on. And you certainly don't have to be a member of anything other than having a ticket to get on SARnet. So these are three things you can do. Now, the Aries stuff, the best way to find the Aries stuff is going to be on the standard frequency list, because everything they do is on the standard frequency list. So what I suggest is check that out. There's sources for that. If you need it, I can send it to you. Most of you already have the link from the editing we did on it. But this is the form right here. They will be on the red repeaters. I'm sorry, no, let's see. Yeah, the red repeaters. Those are going to be for Aries. So let's say you're at home and you got flooding coming in your house and you want to report that to the county, to Lee County, to the EOC, that you got flooding and your phones are down. You would call an Aries repeater. They're at the EOC. Call them directly. If you can't get them, I'll pass it on for you, but I would prefer that messages get to their source with the least amount of connections. So if you're in North Fort Myers, you would get on the blue repeater, 146,880, and you would call and you would say, Lee County EOC, this is KO4 EFS. You can just call them. Or you can call up AriesNet, this is KO4 EFS, and they'll answer you. It doesn't matter what you say, they'll answer you. And then you can tell them, I have a status report here. I'm not an Aries member, but I have a status report for you. And they'll take it. They're interested. And they'll pass that along to the appropriate people at the EOC from the comms room. So Aries has their thing they do. And that's basically just be eyes and ears for the counties, for Lee and Collier, Charlotte, whatever Aries team it is. Charlotte's team is called CC Flares. Lee County's called Lee Alert, I think it is, or whatever, Lee Aries. And then the Collier County group has a team as well. And so basically each county uses those Aries people so that they can communicate with shelters and fire stations and emergency posts when the phones go down. That's the primary purpose for Aries. The secondary purpose is to collect damage and information reports from ham radio operators around the county and then collate those and present them to the county as usable information. And so that's the other part of what they do. I encourage you to participate with all three. You know, listen to SARnet. You can even talk on there if you feel you need to say something. It's fine. Definitely check in with us on the WatchNet. Be a part of that. Stay with us on the WatchNet, and we'll be your calming voice in the night. Or at least we'll try to be. We're going to be going through this stuff too, but we're going to try to. We'll be here for you. We'll be here with it. And then, of course, if you've got stuff to pass on to government, you want to go to the Aries frequencies and get the Aries, one of the Aries nets, and there'll be a net controller on each frequency with Aries. And so you can just go on each one and just call net controller, net Aries net, or whatever, and they'll answer you. And then just tell them in plain text what you want to do, and they'll explain to you. Just remember that the more of an emergency we get in, the less codes we should use. The more of a crazy situation things become, the more English we should speak to each other. We should be very clear in what we are saying and not be QS this and QY that. And I'm a big proponent of codes. I love codes, but when we get into a disaster, we want to kind of get rid of most of that. And I guess that's what we have now. Let me ask you a question. Do you know, is there a frequency that the government directly monitors where you can call for help in a life-threatening emergency legally?
Yes,
Where would that be?
that is the Marine Band.
Give the man I don't have my soundboard up. Ding, 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 ding. Give the man.
That is the only one.
It's the only
is
one.
No other.
That's the only channel that's monitored by our government.
Yeah.
Routinely everywhere around the coast.
Yeah.
Not necessarily
Not just the coast.
They do monitor anywhere where there's bodies of water.
Yeah.
Like there's a transmitter out there on the lake, Okeechobee, you can call. But if you're inland of a big, huge state that doesn't have any bodies of water, you're going to eventually reach the point where you can't hear it or get to it anymore.
Yeah, you're going to be a
But-
SLO there then. But you know,
But
like
for
Lake
Florida,
Michigan
pretty
and
much
Aries
anywhere,
anywhere
in Florida with a 40-foot antenna, you should be able to talk to the Coast Guard.
Is that the VHF frequencies
Yeah.
or the maritime?
Yeah.
No, VHF.
You mean like channel 16 or something?
Yeah.
Yes. As a matter of fact, yes. Channel 16, what they call a marine emergency channel.
Yeah.
I will tell you, technically, you're not allowed to transmit as a ham radio operator on that frequency from a land radio. You would start to cross lines. However, the moment a life is in danger, all that's crap. You can literally call up. Look, I have I'm declaring an emergency. I'm not in a vessel. This is the only frequency I have. I'm declaring an emergency. Here's my location. They will help you. And you probably won't get in trouble because it's perfectly legal. I say probably because you know how it is, but anyway, if it's a life-threatening emergency, we do what we got to do. But I like to put that out there because a lot of people don't realize that. Another thing is the WatchNet, the AriesNet, and the SARNet can all, if you can get to them, they might be able to get you help that way. Especially Aries is at your local EOC. So if you can get one of them, let's say your neighbor is injured during the storm and the phones are down, you can call. I would go to channel 1 and I would call Lee County EOC KO4 EFS emergency traffic. And if you have a true, people have a hard time understanding what a true emergency is. Take it from somebody that retired from emergency services. Okay. Everybody had, there's a woman not 3 months ago that called 911 because they put mustard on her burger at Burger King after she told them she did not want mustard on that burger. And when they argued with her, she called 911 and she ended up taking a ride to jail for misuse of 911. It's one of those things where everybody has a different idea of what an emergency is. The key to this is life-threatening. If it's a life-threatening emergency, then it no longer matters what frequency you're on. If it's a non-life-threatening emergency, but it's important, I would call Aries. That's where I would go first. I would, if you can't call on the phone, always call 911. That's always the quickest, best way to get help. There's no radio in the world right now, unless you have a police radio. There's no radio in the world that you would have that's going to get you help faster than the telephone 911. I'm just being honest. That goes directly to the people that send the people. If you call on a radio, you're calling a guy that calls a guy that calls a person that calls a woman that tells a guy, okay, is it coming? Is it going to get here? Is it going to find me? But if the phones are down, then you call the EOC channel 1, and call your Charlotte. You want to find out what your channels would be for your EOC. The EOC should be monitoring at least one ham radio frequency at all times. And when you have an emergency, if you're there and you need an ambulance, or you're there and there's a fire, you're there and there's a burglar, a looter, whatever that might be, get on there, give your call sign, KO4 EFS to Lee County EOC emergency traffic. Yeah. Just say it out as plain as you can say it, and they will come back and you'll get the help you need. So I'm just telling you, that's the best way to, don't worry about, oh God, do I call them first or they call me? Or do I say EOC, this is KO4? Or do I say, it doesn't matter. Don't ever get bogged down in semantics during a storm or during an emergency. None of that matters. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the 3 different systems and the 3 different ideas we have going on there and all that kind of stuff? Anything at all? Anything I missed? Any corrections?
Not on
The-
that, but I do have a quick comment
Go ahead.
on hurricanes in general.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I've been through quite a number of them in my day and seen the rest of them on TV. And I can tell you from my experience that the worst damage usually seems to happen at night. And so make sure you got plenty of good flashlights.
Yeah.
Because that's the worst time when you can't see anything and when your house is falling apart.
It's true. And I hate to say this, guys, but there's, as usual, this is looking like it might be a nighttime landfall, and we may be coming into daytime for the second half of the storm is kind of how it's looking. I know that a lot of us have rode these storms out. The last nighttime hurricane to hit this area was Donna in 1960. So I don't know how many of you guys, and when I say it was a nighttime storm, it was a
It's all day.
24-hour storm. It went all day and all night.
It's all day and into the night.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, it's one thing when Charlie came through and we can hear things hitting our house and we can see it. We can even go out if we had to, cautiously. It's different when it's in the middle of the night. And one of the things I'm going to do here is try to keep my exterior lighting on during the storm if it's at night, so that I can see, and if someone gets in trouble, they can see my house and maybe I can help them. I don't know. It gets bad. I live in an area here that is a lot of modular homes and a lot of older Florida homes. And so my neighborhood about 90% bugged out for Irma. I had no neighbors within 10 houses in any direction. And I had about 8 of them having me watch their place. It was one of those kind of things. It was a weird situation where we were staying and everybody else was leaving. And probably going to end up with something like that again. So, and we lucked up with Irma. Irma could have went up the coast. If it went up the coast, we would have had a mess with Irma. But Irma went up the middle of the state, which means the Everglades took the punch.
Mhm.
They really did. And the worst side of the storm was in the least populated part of South Florida.
Yeah.
So we lucked up. And the other coast, the other coast took a lot of it. Our coastal areas had an offshore wind, so we didn't have a lot of surge. There was a lot of things that worked out with Irma, even though it was a bad storm. This one's looking like it's going to be to the left of us, which is going to be obviously a much worse scenario. Anyway, the next update is 11 o'clock. So we're waiting for that. Just so you guys know how that works, 11 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Those are the main updates. There's 4 of them a day. And then there's 4 intermediate updates. And those are at 8 and 2, 8 and 2. You guys can do the math. They're every 3 hours. There's at least a primary or a secondary update that comes out. A lot of times they won't make big changes on the secondary updates. They'll just make minor little nudges here or there, or maybe 5 miles an hour. They usually save their big changes for the big updates at 5 and 11. I will also tell you sources for news. I do want to go over this because this is important. I've got some